You stop this.
No, Ben, Stricker. College kid. No, not Casey. Well, he just turned it off.
Yes.
Asking me questions about, yeah.
Now, so going back to your childhood, when you were growing up, when you were still at home, what was it like? What was the home situation like?
Well, as I said, I was the youngest, 3 older brothers and an older sister. My sister and I, there's 10 years difference, so we weren't close at that time, but and now we are. There's no difference. That 10 years doesn't make a difference at all. So Vernon, the youngest of the boys, he and I guess were closer because we were the same age. And Alvin liked music. That's my oldest brother. Liked music so much, so he and I, we had a player piano, and I used to pick out pieces. I never took lessons, piano lessons, and would mess around with music with him. And Bob, the second brother, he loved to dance, and so he's the one that taught me how to dance. And Vernon and I just messed around and fussed and played, and I went places with him more.
Tell about your mom and dad. What was it like growing up with them?
Oh, Dad was always working. Mom was the one that put in a garden to feed the kids, because then you couldn't go to the grocery store in a small town and get fresh vegetables all year long. You had to grow them and can them and all that sort of thing. So the boys helped her with the garden, and I would help with the housework more. Ironing the boys' shirts, that's what I did like. Because the 3 boys belonged to played in a band, and they had to have these white pants and white shirts and all this, and so I was nominated to pretty much do a lot of the ironing to help out that boys on that.
Did your mom work at all?
No. No. She had chickens. She had a garden. She raised chickens. She loved getting the little tiny ones and had a brooder house with a little heater in it, and they were real cute. And Vernon loved to help her do that. There was a story about he helped her raise those little baby chickens, and so she gave him so many for doing it. And he took good care of them and sold them. I don't know how much money he made it, $50 or something, which was a lot of money. But what he did with us, we had our annual church picnic in Little Town, and he took his money. The hard work, all that hard work that went down there and gambled on throwing the rings, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So he blew half of his hard-earned money. So I think that's how he learned to handle money the hard way.
Were your parents really strict or easygoing?
I'd say I wasn't afraid of them, but they were pretty strict. I can remember one time when Vernie went to band practice and he didn't come home, and he walked Dorothy Brands home from the thing. And Dad, I knew he was mad, and so I took off running, and I ran over to Dorothy Brands, and I said, he was sitting on the porch swing with her. I said, Vernie, you better come home right away, so Daddy's gonna whip you.
Did he?
I think he did.
Which parent do you like the most?
Oh, there wasn't any favorite. There was a difference. But Dad was the one that really was. I just admired him so.
Not the one that you like the most. Which one are you like?
Oh, are I like?
Similar to the personality.
Oh. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. They've said I look more like Dad. The nose and the features, but I don't know. I guess a mixture of both of them.
What were some of the childhood activities you did, like some of your friends and?
At what age? You mean grade school age?
Yeah, grade school, high school. What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, great. Yeah. When I was young, I remember we played with dolls. We had that house that we lived at. had it upstairs, and next door neighbor, Iredale Stonington, used to come over and we played dolls. I played with Vernie sometime. We played Little Men, which there was a huge shade tree in the side yard with big roots in the ground, and they're like little rooms. And so we'd have little tiny men and women, or sometimes just sticks that we used for them. And we'd make up stories about and play house with these little characters. Vernie and Batchy, and we'd have about 4 of us, and we'd act out things with our little men.
So overall, would you say you had a happy childhood, or?
Yes, I would. It was going, part of it, I was in the Depression, and you heard everyone talking about the scarcity of money. But Dad was always working, and he didn't spend carelessly. But I didn't worry about it. That was, I was 1929 or something. Yeah. So I would have been 9 years old, but what does a 9-year-old kid? You just know that I know that I remember that they all had a bicycle, and I never could. It was at that time that, I didn't get a bicycle. We didn't have the money.
You talked about in education. You talked about high school and so on, the boarding school. Did you like school? Did you like it pretty much?
Yeah, I did.
You a good student?
I'm the upper half. I wasn't the top. I can remember about in school, it was Clyde Franklin and Virgil Birch were the two that were always first and second in class. They always ranked you in grade school days. And Clyde was the redheaded guy, that cute kid, but he never did really study. Virgil took his books home, was diligent, and did his lessons. He got it, but he worked for it. And because my class just could coast through, and he got it all anyway. So I was somewhere, down from 5, 6 of those.
Do you think that what you learned in school helped you out in later life? Your jobs?
Well, sure it did. It was your reading and spelling. And we even did penmanship on Fridays at school. We'd do Pelmer method. Ever hearing of that?
No.
Well, we had on Fridays we'd do that, and yeah, I liked school.
Why didn't you want to go to college though? Why didn't you go to college?
Well, it just wasn't pushed in those days. There wasn't any college around. I could have, if I'd have been very anxious, I could have gone to St. Louis.
Was it pushed for women, or was it pushed for anyone at all?
Well, see, my brothers didn't go either. There wasn't the money. In fact, Dad sent each one of them away to school for a year, boarding schools, each one of us. And the boys, I believe, went 2 years, boy. So it took a lot of money for that, and just went out and got work then. It wasn't as necessary until the generation coming like your mother and my children. It would seem like we lived in Cape Girardeau, and there was a college town, and they could stay home, and it just was expected of them that they were going to go to college. But in my day, if there wasn't any around, and there was lots of people that did go to college, nursing and that sort of thing, but it wasn't necessary, they thought, for a woman, especially for a girl.
Did you have any aspirations after you got out of high school, but what you wanted to do or anything? Or?
No, I really, I guess my training in high school, because I took bookkeeping and something, was to work in an office, be a secretary, that sort of thing. But as far as nursing, I didn't. That, or teaching, I didn't.
You think?
I didn't. I would have liked to have taught. In fact, after I was out of high school, I remember a couple of days they called me to come down, and the teachers was sick, and I went in and held class. You can't say I taught them because I had no credentials.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that I did take over the second grade, I believe it was, for a couple of days.
newspaper. Was there anything else that you would have liked to work at that you never get a chance to do?
No, after I was married, I used to go down to the office and do some filing and some typing and make out statements and that sort of thing for Frank and his business. I worked down at the seminary doing some secretarial work and some filing and that sort of thing when they were changing their office files. They needed some extra work done. And I remember when Mary Yeager came to the house and said, she was working for Montgomery Ward, and she said, we're changing our office thing, and they need a lot more, need someone to help extra for filing and get the whole thing changing. So I went down there just to help out for a couple of weeks while they were getting themselves organized. But I ended up staying on working there in the office, I guess 6 months.
After you got married, did you have
Well, that's when I was married. That's
Or-
when the kids were home. Yeah.
anything else after when you were married?
Did I work? I worked in the office for Dad. I took a little stint down at the seminary and then worked at Montgomery Ward. But other than that, I don't think
Did Bernie up to now? You were telling me earlier you have a...
Oh, down at the store. Well, that doesn't seem very long ago. That's after kids were all gone and Frank had died. And Vernon, my brother, was going to sell the store, the furniture store that he worked. And he asked if I'd come down and help what was needed to be done. It was arranging things to be sold, telling people what was going on with the big sale, someone was running it, and that sort of thing. So it was being a clerk in the front. What I did, all the money I earned, I spent on furniture. I bought these stools, I remember I loved them. And
I remember when you bought these.
yeah, well, that's when I did, with the money that I,
Oh, really?
when I was working down at the store.
Remember that table that we always flipped the things?
Yeah.
down and-